The text message lit up my phone at 8:30 on a Saturday morning. Your kids can watch the birthday live stream. My mom wrote about my niece's party happening that afternoon. Before I could even process what that meant, another message appeared from my sister Amanda. Sorry, but your kids have a negative impact on mine. I stared at my phone, the words blurring through my sudden tears, as my 8-year-old twins Jack and Lucy played innocently in the next room, already talking about the presents they'd wrapped for their cousin. In that moment, something hardened inside me. I wiped my tears, opened my banking app to check my emergency savings, and made a decision. If my sister thought my children weren't good enough for her daughter's birthday party, then Disneyland would just have to be our plan B. I should probably introduce myself. My name is Elsie, and at 34 years old, I'm doing my best to raise my 8-year-old twins, Jack and Lucy, on my own. 2 years ago, their father Troy decided our marriage was too much work compared to the excitement of dating his 23-year-old coworker. The divorce left me emotionally drained and financially struggling, but my children gave me the strength to rebuild our lives. Growing up, my sister Amanda and I were inseparable, despite our 2-year age gap. We shared everything from clothes to secrets to dreams about our future. Amanda was the one who held my hand through my first heartbreak, and I was her maid of honor when she married Greg, a successful investment banker who swept her off her feet after a whirlwind 6-month romance. That wedding 8 years ago marked the beginning of a subtle but persistent change in my sister. The Amanda who once wore thrift store clothes and laughed until soda came out her nose slowly transformed into someone who discussed property values at dinner and inspected her manicure while others were speaking. I told myself it was just her adapting to Greg's world of country club memberships and charity galas. When Amanda gave birth to Brianna 9 years ago, I was there in the delivery room, holding her hand and being the first after the parents to hold my perfect niece. I loved that little girl fiercely from the first moment, and for several years, we maintained the closeness I'd always hoped for between our families. My twins were born a year later, and despite the challenges of having newborns, I made sure they developed a relationship with their cousin. The first time I noticed something was wrong came during Brianna's 6th birthday party. Amanda had hired a party planner for an elaborate unicorn-themed celebration that looked like it belonged on a magazine cover rather than in her backyard. When Lucy accidentally spilled fruit punch on the pristine white tablecloth, Amanda's reaction was disproportionate to the crime. "Can't you control your children?" Shed hissed at me while dabbing at the stain with a napkin. This entire setup cost more than your monthly rent. I had brushed it off as party stress, but similar comments continued at every family gathering. Amanda would critique my parenting style, my children's clothes, even the snacks I packed for them. Meanwhile, Brianna was becoming increasingly entitled under the influence of her mother's indulgence. The sweet little girl who once shared toys automatically now declared everything mine, and threw tantrums when she didn't get her way. Still, family is family. I continued bringing the twins to every event we were invited to, watching as the invitations became less frequent. I noticed the social media posts showing lavish family gatherings at Amanda's house where we hadn't been included. Each smiling photo felt like a deliberate reminder of our exclusion. Despite everything, I'd been saving for months to buy special gifts for Brianna's upcoming 9th birthday. Money was tight after some unexpected car repairs, but I'd put aside enough for the art supplies Brianna had mentioned wanting and the limited edition doll that Lucy had insisted her cousin would love. The twins had even used their allowance to buy small additional presents, wrapping them carefully with more tape than necessary and homemade cards covered in glitter. Just last week, during our regular Sunday dinner at my parents' house, Amanda had mentioned Brianna's party, talking about the professional photographer and the custom cake being delivered from a bakery across the state. I had nodded along, already planning what the twins would wear and how I'd style Lucy's unruly curls for the occasion. Not once did Amanda indicate we weren't welcome. Not once did she suggest my children were a problem. Which is why that text message on Saturday morning felt like a physical blow to my chest. I scrolled back through my recent interactions with Amanda, trying to identify what my children could have possibly done to warrant such exclusion. The last time we'd all been together was 2 weeks ago at my parents' house for dinner, and while Jack had accidentally knocked over a glass of water, it was hardly behavior worthy of banishment. What made the rejection even more painful was the realization that Amanda had strategically waited until the day of the party to inform me, ensuring I wouldn't have time to question her decision or give her an opportunity to change her mind. She had deliberately waited until the last possible moment, knowing my children would be devastated. As I sat there holding my phone, I opened Instagram almost on autopilot. Amanda had posted stories that morning, showing the party preparations. As I watched her perfectly manicured hand pointing out decorations, I noticed something that made my blood boil. In the background were several children already helping to set up, including the Walker twins from Brianna's class who were infamous for starting a food fight at the school cafeteria last month that had resulted in a parent-teacher conference. This wasn't about my children's behavior at all. The forwarded message appeared seconds later. Mom, I've decided it's better if Elsie's kids don't come to Brianna's party. They're always so loud and demanding of attention. And last time Jack broke one of Brianna's toys and never even apologized. Their behavior has gotten worse since the divorce. And I've noticed Brianna picking up some of their bad habits. The live stream option means they won't miss out entirely, but Brianna deserves a special day without drama. Please let Elsie know gently. Sorry, but her kids have a negative impact on mine. I stared at the words until they blurred through my tears. Jack hadn't broken any toy. Head accidentally knocked a doll off the shelf reaching for something else, and the doll was fine. It made him apologize even though it was an accident. As for being loud and demanding, my children were certainly energetic but always respectful of boundaries set together. The real gut punch was the casual way Amanda had dismissed the impact of the divorce on my children, using their supposed behavioral issues as justification for excluding them rather than showing empathy for what they'd been through. I walked to the bathroom, closed the door, and let myself cry for exactly 3 minutes. I couldn't let the twins see me like this. They'd been talking about their cousin's birthday for weeks, asking daily how many more days until the party, discussing what games they hoped to play. After splashing cold water on my face, I called my best friend Jenna, the only person I could trust to give me unfiltered advice. She did what? Jenna's outrage was immediate and validating. That's beyond cruel, Els. Who tells someone the day of the party that their kids aren't welcome? And through your mom? She didn't even have the decency to call you directly. I don't know what to do, I admitted, keeping my voice low so the twins wouldn't hear. They've been so excited. Jack even practiced wrapping his present because he wanted it to look perfect for Brianna. Jenna was quiet for a moment. What's in your emergency fund right now? About $1,200. Why? Take them to Disneyland. I laughed, thinking she was joking. Be serious. I am serious. It's Saturday. You could drive there in under 2 hours, get day passes. Turn this awful situation into something magical for them. Show your sister that her cruelty can't touch you or your kids. That's over $500 for tickets alone, plus food and everything else, I protested, though part of me was already considering it. And what's your kids' mental health worth? How much would you pay to spare them the knowledge that their aunt thinks they're not good enough to attend their cousin's birthday? How valuable is it to show them that when someone rejects you, you don't crumble, you pivot and create your own joy? She had a point. That emergency fund was meant for true emergencies, and in that moment, protecting my children's hearts felt like exactly that. You're really considering it, aren't you? Jenna sounded excited now. Do it, Elsie. Send me pictures of their faces when you tell them, and make sure you post every magical moment on social media with the pettiest captions you can think of. After we hung up, I sat on my bed, calculator app open, running the numbers. It would be expensive, yes. It would deplete most of my safety net. But the alternative was telling my children they weren't welcome at their cousin's party, that their presence was considered negative, that they could only watch from afar as everyone else celebrated. I opened Instagram again and noticed something I'd missed earlier. In Amanda's stories showing party preparations, I could clearly see the Stevenson boy helping to hang decorations, the same child who had been suspended from school last month for starting a fight on the playground. And there in the background was Katie Peterson, who Lucy had once reported for pulling her hair repeatedly during a previous playdate. So Amanda's concern wasn't about behavior at all. She had invited children with documented behavioral problems while excluding my well-mannered twins who had never once been in trouble at school. That sealed my decision. I wasn't going to give Amanda the power to hurt my children. I wasn't going to let her decide they weren't good enough. I dried my eyes, straightened my shoulders, and walked into the living room where Jack and Lucy were building an elaborate Lego structure together. Hey guys, I said, my voice stronger than I expected. How would you feel about a change of plans today? We're really going to Disneyland? Lucy squealed, jumping up and down in our living room, her half-finished Lego creation forgotten. Today? Right now. Right now, I confirmed, already pulling up the Disneyland website on my laptop. We need to hurry though. It's already 9:15, and we want to get there with plenty of time to enjoy the park. Jack, always the more analytical of my twins, looked skeptical. But what about Brianna's party? We have presents for her and everything. I had prepared for this question on the fly. Brianna's party has been changed to a smaller gathering with just her school friends. We'll have our own celebration with her next weekend. The lie tasted bitter, but it was kinder than the truth. So we get to go to Disneyland instead, Jack clarified, his excitement beginning to build as the reality sank in. Yep, but only if you can both be ready in 20 minutes. Go put on comfortable clothes and sneakers. We've got a big day ahead. They raced to their rooms while I frantically booked tickets on my phone, wincing at the total but hitting purchase before I could second-guess myself. I threw together a backpack with sunscreen, water bottles, snacks, and a change of clothes for each of us, just in case. Then I sent a quick text to my mom. Change of plans. Taking the kids to Disneyland today. Please let Amanda know we won't be watching the live stream after all. I turned my phone to silent and tucked it into my bag. Whatever fallout came from this decision, it could wait. Today was about my children. The drive to Anaheim took just under 2 hours, filled with the twins' excited chatter and a playlist of their favorite songs. I pushed thoughts of Amanda and her cruel text to the back of my mind, focusing instead on Lucy's elaborate plans for which characters she wanted to meet, and Jack's detailed strategy for minimizing wait times based on a YouTube video Head watched about Disneyland hacks. As we approached the park entrance, I felt a momentary panic about the expense, but one look at my children's awestruck faces as they took in the sights and sounds of Disney's main entrance erased any doubts. Some things were worth the financial strain. Can we take a picture to remember this? Jack asked, pulling me toward a spot with the iconic castle visible in the background. Absolutely, I said, positioning them together and taking several photos. Without thinking, I posted one to my Instagram story with the caption, "Surprise Adventure Day with my favorite people in the world." I hadn't intended it as a message to Amanda, but as soon as I posted it, I realized she would see it and know we hadn't simply stayed home nursing our wounded feelings. The first 2 hours in the park were pure magic. We rode 3 major rides, the twins' excitement building with each new experience. Lucy screamed with delight on Splash Mountain, and Jack's face during the Star Wars ride was a study in pure joy. I took photos and videos of everything, determined to document this day of chosen happiness. During a brief rest break while the kids enjoyed Mickey-shaped ice cream, I felt myself tearing up watching them. They were such good kids, kind, thoughtful, occasionally loud like all children, but fundamentally good-hearted. The idea that anyone, much less their own aunt, could consider them a negative influence was absurd and deeply unfair. "Mom, are you okay?" Jack had noticed my watery eyes. Always the more perceptive twin, he rarely missed emotional shifts in those around him. "I'm better than okay," I assured him, quickly wiping my eyes. "I'm just really happy we're having this adventure together. This is the best day ever," Lucy declared, ice cream smeared across her cheek. "Way better than a birthday party." A park employee walking by overheard this exchange and stopped. "First time at Disneyland?" he asked the twins. They nodded enthusiastically. "Well then, we need to make sure it's extra special." He pulled out 3 VIP passes from his pocket. "These will let you skip the line on 3 rides of your choice. Make them count." The twins thanked him profusely while I added my own grateful smile. As he walked away, he gave me a curious look, then seemed to recognize something. "Elsie? Elsie Taylor?" he asked, coming back. I nodded, confused. "Do I know you?" "I'm Scott Williams, Troy's cousin. We never actually met, but I saw pictures of you and the kids at family gatherings." My stomach dropped. The last thing I wanted today was a connection to my ex-husband. Seeing my expression, he quickly added, "Hey, no awkwardness intended. Troy and I aren't even in touch anymore. Not since he pulled that stunt with the secretary." He lowered his voice. During a moment when the kids were captivated by a street performance, Scott asked casually, "So what brings you here today?" "Special occasion." I hesitated, then gave him the abbreviated version of the morning's events. His face darkened. "That's messed up." Excluding kids from their cousin's birthday and telling them to watch online instead? Who does that? My sister, apparently, I said, attempting lightness but failing. Well, her loss is definitely Disneyland's gain today. Your kids are awesome. He nodded toward Jack and Lucy, who were dancing along with the street performers, their faces radiating joy. I checked my phone briefly during lunch and saw 8 missed calls from my mother, 3 from Amanda, and numerous text messages I wasn't ready to read. I put the phone away, determined to stay present in this moment of happiness. As afternoon turned to evening, we watched the spectacular light show with the twins perched on a perfect viewing spot Scott had recommended. Lucy fell asleep on the drive home, while Jack fought valiantly to keep his eyes open before finally succumbing to exhaustion. It wasn't until both children were tucked into their beds, still wearing their Mickey and Minnie ears, that I finally allowed myself to check my messages. The first message from my mother had come at 12:30, about an hour after Brianna's party was scheduled to start. "Where are you?" Brianna keeps asking when Jack and Lucy will arrive. That was confusing enough, but the next messages escalated quickly. "Elsie, please call me. Brianna is getting upset. Amanda says you're not answering her texts either. What's going on? Brianna is refusing to start the party until her cousins get here. Please call as soon as possible." The final message from my mother sent just an hour ago. "I saw your Instagram. I understand you're upset, but this has turned into a complete disaster. Please call me when you can." Amanda's messages were more direct. "Where the hell are you? Brianna won't stop crying. Are you seriously taking your kids to Disneyland to spite me? That's incredibly immature. Mom showed me your Instagram posts. I can't believe you're doing this just to hurt me and ruin Brianna's birthday." The last one sent at 6:45. "Greg wants to talk to you. This has gone too far." There were also 3 voicemails. I braced myself as I played the first one from my mother. "Elsie, honey, I don't know what's happening, but Brianna is absolutely distraught. She says her birthday won't be special without Jack and Lucy. Amanda is beside herself. Please call me back." The second voicemail was from Amanda, her voice tight with anger. "I don't know what game you're playing, but you've ruined Brianna's entire birthday. She won't open presents or cut the cake because she keeps saying she wants to wait for her cousins. The party entertainers we paid $2,000 for can't even get her to participate in activities. Call me back immediately." The final voicemail made my hand freeze on the phone. It was Brianna, crying so hard I could barely understand her. "Aunt Elsie, why didn't Lucy and Jack come to my party? Mommy said they were sick, but then Grandma showed me the pictures of Disneyland. I wanted them to come. I saved them special goodie bags and everything. Please, can they still come over?" I sat down heavily on my couch, mind racing. Amanda had told Brianna we couldn't come because the twins were sick, and clearly Brianna had been expecting us, had wanted us there. None of this made sense. My phone rang again, Greg's name flashing on the screen. I almost declined the call, but curiosity won out. "Elsie, it's Greg. Can we talk?" His voice sounded exhausted. "I think you and Amanda have said enough already," I replied coldly. "Look, I just found out about all this today. I had no idea Amanda told you not to come to the party. That's not what we discussed at all. What are you talking about?" She texted my mom explicitly saying my kids have a negative impact on Brianna. Greg sighed heavily. "I know. I've seen the messages. Amanda showed them to me when everything started falling apart. Elsie, I'm so sorry. This wasn't supposed to happen." "Then what was supposed to happen?" I demanded. "We had a normal party planned, with all the family and Brianna's friends. You, Jack, and Lucy were always supposed to be there. Brianna talked about nothing else all week, how excited she was to show her cousins the magic show and the new treehouse we built her. So why did Amanda tell me to keep my kids away?" There was a long pause. Things between Amanda and me haven't been great lately. She's been struggling with some issues. Jealousy. Control, our therapist says. He trailed off. "That's not your problem. The point is, Amanda did this on her own, and now Brianna's birthday is ruined. She won't stop crying about Lucy and Jack not being here." I felt a confusing mix of vindication and sadness. "I'm sorry for Brianna, but I'm not sorry I protected my children from being hurt. Do you have any idea how it felt to read that my kids weren't welcome? That they could watch on the live stream instead of participating? I know, and it's inexcusable. Listen, I'll pay for whatever you spent today. The Disneyland tickets, everything. Would you consider bringing the kids over tomorrow for a second celebration? I'll make sure Amanda apologizes properly. I almost laughed. It's not about the money, Greg. It's about respect and kindness. My children aren't props you can dismiss and then summon back when convenient. As we spoke, a text came through from Amanda. Brianna won't go to sleep. She's still crying about Jack and Lucy. Can you please bring them over tomorrow? I'll explain everything then. I didn't respond to her text, but to Greg I said, I'll think about tomorrow, no promises. But right now, I need to process all of this. After hanging up, I opened Instagram and posted a final photo from our day, the twins with their arms around each other, castle lights twinkling behind them, their exhausted but blissful smiles capturing the perfect end to our impromptu adventure. The caption was simple. Some people watch life's precious moments through a live stream. We prefer to create our own magic. It was petty, perhaps, but after the emotional roller coaster of the day, it felt justified. Within minutes, my phone exploded with notifications. Family members and friends commenting on the photo, sending private messages asking what happened, expressing confusion about why we weren't at Brianna's party. The family grapevine was buzzing, and for once, I didn't mind being at the center of the storm. Sunday morning dawned with my phone still lighting up with notifications. I'd silenced it overnight, determined to get some rest before facing the family drama that awaited. The twins slept in, exhausted from their Disneyland adventure, giving me time to sort through the chaos. Among the most surprising messages was one from my cousin Rachel. Just saw your Disney pics. Confused because Amanda's been telling everyone you declined Brianna's birthday invitation weeks ago because you couldn't be bothered with family events anymore. What's really going on? This was news to me. I called Rachel immediately, needing to understand the extent of Amanda's deception. She's been saying what? I asked when Rachel answered. For at least a month now, Amanda's been telling the family you're pulling away, becoming antisocial since the divorce. She implied you were bitter about her perfect family and were keeping the twins from Brianna out of jealousy. I was speechless. The betrayal cut deeper than I could have imagined. While I'd been saving money for Brianna's presents and helping the twins make special birthday cards, Amanda had been systematically turning the family against me. That's completely untrue. I finally managed. I never received an invitation to decline in the first place. Yesterday morning, Mom forwarded me a message from Amanda saying my kids weren't welcome because they have a negative impact on Brianna. Rachel gasped. Are you serious? That's horrible. No wonder you took them to Disneyland instead. I would have done the same thing. As we talked, I scrolled through more messages, finding similar questions from other relatives who had been fed Amanda's lies, the picture becoming clearer with each conversation. My sister had been systematically undermining me within the family for months. My mother called as I was making coffee. Elsie, we need to talk about yesterday. Yes, we do, I agreed. Why didn't you tell me Amanda has been lying to the entire family about me? A pause. I didn't know the extent of it until last night. After everything fell apart at the party, people started asking questions, and it all came out. I'm so sorry, honey. I should have realized something was wrong. You should have, I agreed, allowing some of my hurt to show. When Amanda sent that cruel message about my children, you should have questioned it instead of just passing it along. You're right, my mother admitted, her voice small. I was trying to keep the peace. I didn't want to lose access to Brianna. Amanda has threatened before to cut us off if we disagree with her parenting decisions. That explained a lot about my parents' recent reluctance to challenge Amanda's increasingly controlling behavior. So you chose to let her hurt me and my children instead. It was wrong of me. I see that now. She sounded genuinely remorseful. The whole family does. Uncle Frank is furious. Has called an emergency family meeting for this afternoon. Uncle Frank was my father's older brother and the undisputed patriarch of our extended family. When he called a meeting, everyone attended. What happened after we left yesterday? I asked, curiosity getting the better of me. Mom sighed. Chaos. Brianna was inconsolable when she realized Jack and Lucy weren't coming. Amanda tried to distract her, but nothing worked. Then someone showed Brianna your Instagram posts from Disneyland, and she completely melted down, screaming that she wanted to go to Disneyland too, that her party was stupid and she hated it. Despite everything, I felt bad for my niece. And Amanda. She blamed you at first, told everyone you were being spiteful taking the kids to Disneyland instead of bringing them to the party. But then Greg stepped in. He was furious when he found out what Amanda had done. They had a huge fight right in front of everyone. Greg called me last night, I admitted. He said he didn't know anything about Amanda's message. He didn't, Mom confirmed. When Greg asked why you weren't there, Amanda initially lied to him too, said you had declined weeks ago. But then I showed him the actual messages and, well, it wasn't pretty. The twins wandered into the kitchen then, still in their pajamas, hair tousled from sleep. Morning, Mom, Jack yawned. Can we have pancakes? Absolutely, I said, grateful for the interruption. To my mother, I said. I need to go. Tell Uncle Frank he'll think about the family meeting. After breakfast, while the twins were happily recounting their favorite Disneyland moments to each other, my phone rang again. It was Amanda. I almost didn't answer, but decided it was time to face this directly. Hello, Elsie. Her voice sounded rough, like she'd been crying. We need to talk. I think you've said enough already. I replied coolly. Please, Brianna is still upset. She keeps asking when she can see Jack and Lucy. That's interesting, considering you told me they have a negative impact on her. Amanda was quiet for a moment. I shouldn't have said that. It wasn't true. Then why did you… Another pause. It's complicated. Try me. She sighed. I've been going through some things. Therapy. The doctor says I have tendencies. Narcissistic tendencies. I stopped going to sessions last month because I didn't like what she was saying about me. This was news to me, and that explains why you'd hurt innocent children. No, nothing explains that. I was wrong, Elsie. Seeing your posts from Disneyland, seeing how happy Jack and Lucy looked while Brianna was here crying, it made me realize what I've done. It sounded rehearsed, like something Greg might have coached her to say. Are you actually sorry, or just sorry it backfired? Both, she admitted with surprising honesty. At first I was just angry that you found a way to one-up me. Taking them to Disneyland was a power move. It wasn't about power, I interrupted. It was about protecting my children from rejection and hurt. I see that now, Amanda said quietly. Greg helped me see it. Has given me an ultimatum. Either I go back to therapy and make things right with you and the kids, or he's taking Brianna and leaving. That explained the sudden remorse. So this apology is about saving your marriage, not actually making amends. No. Well, yes, partly, but I do feel terrible about what I did to you and the kids. And to Brianna. She was so excited about sharing her birthday with her cousins. I ruined everything because I couldn't stand the thought that my daughter might love someone else as much as she loves me. The admission was so unexpected and honest that it momentarily disarmed me. Amanda, that's seriously messed up. I know. She started to cry. I know it is. That's why I need help. Real help. And I need to make this right somehow. Please, Elsie, will you bring the kids over today? Let me apologize to them directly. Let Brianna see them. I thought about it, weighing the potential for more hurt against the opportunity for healing. Ill-considerate. But first, you need to tell me the truth about something. Have you been telling the family that I've been keeping the kids away out of jealousy? Her silence was answer enough. Why would you do that? What could you possibly gain from turning our family against me? I don't know, she whispered. Control? Attention? The therapist says I create narratives where I'm always the victim. It's part of the problem I need to work on. I took a deep breath. If we come over today, I need you to correct those lies. I need you to tell everyone the truth about what happened. I will, she promised. Uncle Frank has called a family meeting for 3 o'clock. I'll tell everyone then? And you need to apologize to my children. A real apology, not a manipulative one. I will. I promise. I looked at Jack and Lucy, now building a Lego version of Disneyland's castle, their faces bright with the memory of yesterday's joy. Well, come at 2. Just us first, before the whole family arrives. If that goes well, we'll stay for the meeting. After hanging up, I sat with my complicated feelings. Part of me wanted to continue punishing Amanda, to let her suffer the consequences of her actions more thoroughly, but another part recognized this as an opportunity for real change. Not just in our relationship, but in the broader family dynamic. The twins, when told we were going to visit cousin Brianna, were excited rather than resentful, another reminder of their inherently kind hearts. We brought along the gifts they'd wrapped for her, and I suggested they show her their Disneyland photos to share the experience rather than exclude her. When we arrived at Amanda's house, Greg opened the door, relief evident on his face. "Thank you for coming," he said sincerely. "This means more than you know." Inside, Brianna rushed to hug her cousins, her earlier tears replaced with excitement. "You went to Disneyland? Was it amazing? Did you meet Elsa?" As the children chattered happily, Amanda approached me cautiously. Up close, I could see the toll the situation had taken. Her usual perfect appearance disrupted by puffy eyes and uncombed hair. "Can we talk privately?" she asked. In the kitchen, away from little ears, she broke down completely. "I don't know what's wrong with me, Elsie. Why would I hurt my own daughter just to punish you? What kind of mother does that make me?" Despite everything, I found myself placing a hand on her shoulder. "One who needs help, Amanda. And acknowledging that is the first step." Greg said he found therapist recommendations for both of us individually and for couples counseling. "He's serious about leaving if I don't commit to getting better." "And are you going to commit?" I asked. She nodded, wiping her eyes. "I have to. I can't lose my family. I can't keep being this person." She looked up at me. "I'm truly sorry, Elsie. For everything. Not just yesterday, but for all the ways I've tried to make you feel less than over the years. You're an amazing mother. Your kids are wonderful. I've been jealous, I think, of the bond you have with them. It was the most genuine I'd seen my sister in years. Thank you for saying that. It doesn't fix everything, but it's a start." From the living room, we heard the children's laughter as Jack demonstrated something from their Disneyland adventure. The sound was healing in its normalcy. "They're so resilient," Amanda observed. "They don't even seem angry at me. They don't know what happened," I reminded her. "And I'd like to keep it that way for now. They don't need to carry adult burdens." She nodded in agreement. "You've always been the better person, Elsie. I've resented that too." As we rejoined the children, I noticed Greg watching us carefully, hope and wariness battling in his expression. Whatever happened next would depend on Amanda's willingness to be honest with the entire family. The true test would come when Uncle Frank arrived with the others. By 2:45, cars began filling Amanda and Greg's circular driveway. The family meeting called by Uncle Frank had drawn everyone within driving distance, a testament to his patriarchal influence and the seriousness with which his summons was treated. My parents arrived first, my mother embracing me with unusual fierceness. "I should have stood up for you," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." My father, always more action than words, simply squeezed my shoulder, his eyes communicating what his voice couldn't. Uncle Frank arrived last, his imposing 6'4" frame filling the doorway as he entered. At 72, he remained the family's moral center, his judgment respected by all. He hugged me first, then leveled a serious look at Amanda. "All the children upstairs," he instructed, his deep voice brooking no argument. Brianna led the twins to her playroom, the three of them blissfully unaware of the tension below. Once we were settled in the living room, Uncle Frank stood before the assembled family. My parents, Amanda and Greg, our cousins Rachel and Daniel with their spouses, and our Aunt Patricia. "I've called this meeting because something happened yesterday that goes against everything our family stands for," he began. "Lies were told. Hurt was caused. Trust was broken. Before we discuss anything else, I want to hear directly from the two people at the center of this situation." He turned to Amanda. "Amanda, please tell us exactly what happened, and why." Amanda looked terrified but resigned. She took a deep breath and, to her credit, spoke clearly. "Yesterday morning, I sent a message to Mom asking her to tell Elsie that her children weren't welcome at Brianna's birthday party. I suggested they could watch on the live stream instead. I claimed her children had a negative impact on Brianna, which was completely untrue." Murmurs of disapproval rippled through the room. "Furthermore," she continued, her voice shaking slightly, "I've been lying to many of you for months, suggesting that Elsie was the one pulling away from family functions, that she was bitter and jealous of my life. None of that was true. I was the one creating division. I was the one letting jealousy drive my actions." Uncle Frank nodded, his expression grave. "And why would you do this to your sister? To your daughter? To this family?" Amanda looked down at her hands. "I've been seeing a therapist. She diagnosed me with narcissistic tendencies and control issues stemming from deep insecurity." I stopped going to therapy because I didn't like hearing it. But she was right. I've been creating drama and division because it puts me at the center, because it gives me control. The room was silent, everyone processing this unexpected candor. Elsie. Uncle Frank turned to me. Would you share your perspective on what happened? I recounted the events from my side, the shocking text, the decision to take the twins to Disneyland instead, the revelation that Brianna had actually wanted us at her party all along. I'm not blameless, I admitted. Taking the kids to Disneyland and posting about it was partly motivated by hurt and anger. I wanted Amanda to see that she couldn't hurt us, that we could create our own happiness. It was petty, and it ended up hurting Brianna, which I never intended. Uncle Frank considered this. Hurt people, he said finally. But there's a difference between reacting to cruelty and instigating it. He turned back to Amanda. What you did wasn't just mean-spirited, it was calculated. You told your own daughter that her cousins were sick, then had to watch her heart break when she discovered the truth. Amanda nodded, tears flowing freely now. I know. And seeing what my actions did to my daughter, it finally broke through to me. I can't keep doing this. I need help. Greg spoke up for the first time. We've already scheduled appointments with a new therapist for Amanda individually, and for us as a couple. I take responsibility too, for enabling her behavior over the years. For not seeing what was happening, Uncle Frank walked over to stand directly in front of Amanda. Your grandfather left a trust fund for each of his grandchildren. You know this. What you may not know is that I'm the executor, and the final disbursement that you've been counting on for your kitchen renovation requires my approval. Amanda looked up, surprise evident through her tears. I'm withholding that approval until I see 6 months of consistent therapy attendance and genuine effort toward change. This family will not tolerate the kind of divisiveness you've created. Are we clear? Yes, Uncle Frank, Amanda whispered. He turned to address everyone. As for the rest of us, we all played a part in allowing this situation to develop. We saw the signs of trouble and chose to look away for the sake of peace. That ends today. In this family, we stand up for what's right, even when it's uncomfortable. My mother looked particularly stricken by these words. Now, Uncle Frank continued, his tone softening slightly. I believe there's a little girl upstairs who deserves a proper birthday celebration with her entire family. Shall we make that happen? The remainder of the afternoon transformed into the birthday party that should have happened the day before. Brianna, overjoyed to have her cousins and extended family present, didn't seem to notice or care that it was a day late. The children played together happily while the adults maintained a strained but civil atmosphere. As the party wound down, Troy unexpectedly arrived to pick up the twins for his weekend visitation. Seeing the gathered family, he looked uncomfortable but approached me directly. Scott told me what happened, he said quietly. For what it's worth, I think you handled it perfectly. Taking them to Disneyland instead was brilliant, but I'm willing to be part of that process if you're genuinely committed. I am, she said, with more sincerity than I'd heard from her in years. Seeing what almost happened to my marriage, to my relationship with Brianna, to our family, it was the wake-up call I needed. As I drove home that evening to my quiet, child-free house, I reflected on the extraordinary weekend. What had begun with a devastating text message had somehow catalyzed a series of events that might, just might, lead to healing long-standing family wounds. I wasn't naive enough to think everything would be instantly fixed. Amanda had years of therapy ahead, and trust would need to be rebuilt slowly. But for the first time in years, I felt hopeful about our future as sisters, as family. My phone pinged with a text from Uncle Frank. You showed remarkable grace today. Your strength didn't come from hurting back, but from standing firm in your worth. Your children are lucky to have you as their mother. His words brought fresh tears to my eyes, tears of validation, of release, of gratitude that at least one person in our family had always seen me clearly. 3 months later, I stood in my kitchen arranging cupcakes on a platter, listening to the sounds of children playing in the backyard. Jack and Lucy were showing Brianna how to operate the new swing set that Greg had surprised them with last weekend, a peace offering of sorts, though one that the children simply saw as an exciting new playground. Amanda sat at my kitchen table, looking more relaxed than I'd seen her in years. Gone was the perfect blowout and designer outfit, replaced by a casual ponytail and jeans. She was marking papers for the art therapy class Shed started taking as part of her recovery journey. "Need any help?" she asked, noticing me juggling the cupcake arrangement and fruit platter. "If you could fill the water pitcher, that would be great," I replied, smiling as she immediately got up to help. The change in our relationship over these past months had been gradual but significant. After the family meeting and Amanda's public acknowledgement of her behavior, she had committed fully to therapy, both individual and family sessions. It'd been skeptical at first, but week by week, it'd seen genuine effort and change. Our first joint therapy session had been awkward and tense, with years of unspoken resentments finally surfacing. Amanda had cried through most of it, apologizing repeatedly for the ways Shed undermined me, compared our children, and created division within the family. "I was so jealous of you," Shed admitted, surprising me completely. "You've always been so naturally good with children. They trust you, they talk to you. Even Brianna would rather tell you things sometimes than tell me. I had no idea Shed felt that way." "But you have everything else figured out," Id countered. "The perfect house, the successful husband, the financial security. Do you have any idea how intimidating that is?" We'd both been shocked to learn how insecure we each felt in comparison to the other. The therapist had helped us see how we'd each created a narrative about the other's life that wasn't entirely accurate. Greg had kept his word about taking Amanda's recovery seriously, had attended every couples session, rearranged his work schedule to be more present for Brianna, and supported Amanda through the challenging early weeks of therapy when Shed had to confront difficult truths about herself. Uncle Frank had maintained his position on the trust fund, checking in monthly with Amanda's therapist with her permission, to confirm she was continuing treatment. But his oversight had evolved from punitive to supportive, calling Amanda weekly to check on her progress and offering encouragement. My parents, too, had done their own work to repair what had been broken. My mother had apologized tearfully for her failure to stand up for me and the twins, admitting that her fear of losing access to Brianna had made her complicit in Amanda's manipulations. Shed begun attending counseling sessions herself, working through her own tendency to avoid conflict at any cost. The most beautiful transformation, however, had been in the relationship between the cousins. Free from the toxic undercurrents created by adult drama, Brianna, Jack, and Lucy had naturally strengthened their bond. Brianna spent every other weekend at our house now, enjoying the less structured environment and the simple pleasures of backyard camping and homemade pizza nights. "Penny, for your thoughts," Amanda said, pulling me back to the present as she placed the filled water pitcher on the table. I smiled, gesturing toward the window where we could see the three children taking turns pushing each other on the swings. "Just thinking about how far we've all come since Brianna's birthday fiasco." Amanda winced slightly at the memory but nodded. "From the worst day to the best opportunity." That's how my therapist helps me frame it. If I hadn't hit rock bottom that day, I might never have recognized how much I needed to change. "You're doing the work," I acknowledged. "That's what matters." The doorbell rang, signaling the arrival of our parents for the small family dinner we'd planned. These regular Sunday gatherings had become our new tradition, rotating between our homes and occasionally including the extended family. As we all sat around my modest dining table that evening, I was struck by the ease that had finally returned to our interactions. There was laughter, gentle teasing, and most importantly, authenticity. No one was pretending to be perfect anymore. After dinner, while the adults lingered over coffee and the children disappeared back outside to enjoy the last of the daylight, my mother reached across the table to take one of my hands and one of Amanda's. "I'm so proud of both of you," she said, her eyes bright with unshed tears. "Watching you rebuild your relationship, seeing how you've put the children's needs first. It's everything I ever hoped for our family." Amanda squeezed her hand. "We still have a long way to go, Mom. I'm only beginning to understand how my behavior affected everyone." "But you're trying," Greg said, his voice warm with pride. "That's more than a lot of people ever do." Later, as everyone was preparing to leave, Amanda pulled me aside. "Brianna's been begging for a sleepover with the twins. Would it be okay if she stayed? I can pick her up tomorrow after work." 6 months ago, I would have been suspicious of this request, wondering if Amanda was trying to pawn off her parenting responsibilities. Now I recognized it for what it was: trust. Amanda was showing me she trusted me with her most precious person. "Of course she can stay," I replied. "We can make cookies for your class tomorrow." Amanda hugged me then. A real hug without the stiff formality that had characterized our adult interactions for so long. "Thank you," she whispered. "Not just for tonight, but for giving me another chance, for letting me prove I can be better. That's what family does," I told her, meaning it completely for the first time in years. After everyone left and the 3 children were settled in the living room for a movie night, I took a moment to scroll through my phone's photo gallery. The pictures from our impromptu Disneyland trip still brought a smile to my face, but they represented something different now. Not revenge or one-upmanship, but a pivotal moment that had ultimately led to healing. I came across a photo I'd taken just last weekend. Amanda and I sitting side by side on a park bench, watching our children play together on the climbing structure. We were both laughing at something, our shoulders touching, looking for all the world like the close sisters we'd once been, and were becoming again. I posted it to Instagram with the caption, "Some family journeys take unexpected detours, but finding your way back to each other is worth every complicated step." Within minutes, Uncle Frank commented, "The true measure of strength is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall." Proud of both my nieces. Life wasn't perfect. Amanda still had moments of old behaviors resurfacing that she needed to work through. My financial situation remained challenging, though Greg had connected me with some freelance graphic design opportunities that were helping. Co-parenting with Troy continued to have its complications, though Scott's presence in the twins' lives had created an unexpected bridge between us. But the fundamental change was in how we faced these challenges, together, with honesty and support, rather than competition and judgment. The painful text message that had once threatened to destroy our family had ultimately become the catalyst for rebuilding it on a stronger, healthier foundation. As I joined the children for their movie, Lucy curled up immediately under my arm while Jack and Brianna debated the merits of various superheroes. I felt a deep sense of peace. We had all learned valuable lessons about the true meaning of family, about standing up for yourself while leaving room for forgiveness, about the kind of courage it takes to change long-established patterns. If you're watching this and dealing with family drama or betrayal of your own, remember that sometimes the most painful moments can lead to the most necessary growth. Setting boundaries doesn't mean closing the door forever. It means creating the space for healthier relationships to develop when people are ready to do the work. The most important thing is protecting your own worth and teaching your children that they deserve respect and love, always. Thank you for listening to my story. If it resonated with you, please like this video and subscribe to hear more stories of family healing and personal growth. Share with someone who might need to hear that family reconciliation is possible when all parties are committed to genuine change. Comment below with your own experiences of setting boundaries or rebuilding relationships. I'd love to know how you've navigated similar situations in your life. Until next time, remember that the most beautiful family bonds are often those that have been broken and carefully, lovingly put back together.